I'm just gonna say it. Rhonda's the worst.
Yeah.
Like, she really is. It's like, Rhonda, you do not want to be married. I don't know how long it's been. Not long enough.
Yeah, she says it's been 25 years.
Welcome to the Single Standard, where dating shows meet grown woman realness.
Reality TV might get the spotlight. Here, we set the standard. I'm Maya.
And I'm Autumn. Today we're going to be talking about, of course, our Van Carthen moment of the week. And we're also going to get in Married at First Sight. It's been a while since we hit Married at First Sight, so we've got a lot of episodes to go through. Episodes 8 through 12 today. And as always, we're going to end with our soft life spotlight for the week.
Yes, yes, yes. So, as I've said in previous episodes, this all was spawned out of a mutual love for Love Island season 7 and Nick and Alandria. And so, of course, we're going to have to highlight our Van Carthen moment of the week. And so for me, I feel like last time I took yours, but just
It's
in
okay. You can go first.
so for me, I would say it was the Harper's Bazaar shoot with Alandria. The cover um, on Harper's Bazaar Vietnam digital, and that it was apparently posted 3 years to the day from when Nick had his modeling photos on the cover of Harper's Bazaar Vietnam. And so that's just the serendipity, and that invisible string theory is so real with them. But she looked gorgeous.
Yeah.
I screamed. I jumped on live so that I could cycle through the pictures and talk with folks on TikTok about it. So yeah, that was definitely. And I might drop the photo in here because I'm like, maybe I'm doing a little much. But that one picture where she's standing in front of like a doorway reminded me of the pictures that we took standing in front of those golden elevators.
Yes, I
I
still
was
have
like,
them.
"Look at us looking like
Right.
Alandria." So we had an Alandria moment years ago. So maybe I'll drop those in here so you can see them.
We did. What was your favorite one out of the full spread?
So I think it was one where she was standing in front of, that door. I really, really liked that one. And then the other one that I really liked was, I like ones when like the light is on her, like, cause that one was a little bit dark. And there was one where she's in red and like the light is like peeking through and it's like a strip of light on her. And I just thought that that was really pretty.
Yeah. I have to say, I really loved the photo of her with the short hair. I don't think we've ever seen Alandria wear short hair before, which
Mm-mm.
is crazy because she has so many beautiful features. Like her skin's amazing, cheekbones, everything,
Mhm.
body, yaddy, yaddy,
Of
tiny
course.
little waist. And we talk about what a face card she has, but like seeing her with the short hair really highlights that face card for us. And I was like, oh yeah, when you think of like the most beautiful women, you get to see their beauty when they have their hair short. So like I'm thinking the old school Halle Berry, Nia Long, those face cards were prominent because of short hair. And so I'm glad we got to see Alandria rocking a short haircut.
So cute.
Yeah. You did steal my moment of the week, but it's fine, it's fine. I thought you might, so I'm
I
prepared
had a backup
today.
as well. I had a backup as well.
Okay, so I don't know if your backup's my backup, but my second favorite, because you stole my favorite, was the Angel Reese interview. We've been waiting for like weeks and weeks. We saw
Yeah.
snippets that Angel Reese interviewed Olandria, and every Thursday, we're checking Angel Reese's YouTube account, like, is a podcast out? Is a podcast out? It finally came out, and I loved the interview with him. I was surprised because I got to learn a little bit more about Angel. I'm a fan of hers, but I've never really heard her talk before
Yeah,
and
same.
speak. Yeah, and like the dynamic between them just felt so authentic. I felt like they were friends. Angel really got. I have to give credit to Angel. She pulled Alandria out of her shell because we've seen Alandria do interviews before and we've seen her do interviews. I'm thinking about the Kiki Palmer interview. She was so much more relaxed. I got to see sides of Alandria as well that I hadn't seen. I noticed that Alandria, the code switches a lot. And I felt like with Angel, she was just so comfortable that you felt her real voice come through. So it was great. If you guys haven't seen it, it's out on YouTube. Angel Reese podcast, definitely worthwhile. I think I'm gonna check out some more of our episodes.
Yeah, and maybe we can talk a little bit more about what happened on that podcast toward the end. I will say, spoiler, the thing that made me like stop in my tracks was she said that she was 110 pounds soaking wet. I was like, ma'am,
Right,
it's like, how could you be so little but still have all those curves? It's like
right.
all of her weight is in her boobs and her butt, and then everything else is just not skin.
It's not in the waist.
It's not in the waist. Not.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's move into talking about episodes 8 through 12 of Married at First Sight, season 19. So the way that I was feeling about certain couples the last time we spoke is very different than the way I'm feeling about certain couples now. But
Yeah.
should we start with the cliffhanger?
Okay, let's start with the cliffhanger because you asked me what were my predictions and I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But you're like, I have a prediction. I know what's gonna happen. Let's take it from
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Will calling Brittany at the last minute on decision day to let her know that he was
That
gonna
he was
say
gonna say
no.
no. Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
where
I
am I
didn't
not?
s
I'm
Okay, did you
like,
predict that?
no,
Okay, I was about to say I didn't see that coming, and I feel bad for
no.
Brittany.
I did not see that
Yeah.
coming at all. Especially like the way that he talks to her, right? I think
Right.
I wrote down, I want you, I want us, I want this. There are several instances of him saying stuff like that. But
Right.
then
And
he's,
he said, "I love you too."
yeah. And
Yeah.
so for as soon as he said I was going through the pros and cons, I was like, "Oh, yeah, no.
Oh my
He's
gosh.
gonna say
Right.
no."
Right.
It looks like Brittany is gonna fight for it in the last 2 episodes, so we'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
But I was like I was writing and then, like, I looked up and I was like I just dropped my pen. I was like,
Yeah. And what's crazy is I think I was, like, 3/4 of the way through the last episode, and I was like, "Yeah, Maya, I think I'm done. This is all that happens, right?" You're like, "Yeah, that's about it." And then I get to the end, and I was like, "She didn't tell me this happened."
"I told you
Like,
it was a
yeah.
cliffhanger."
I was shocked, I was shocked. It did make me think, I guess, just about the topic of, and I think we might have touched on this before in terms of begging, and we're not saying that Brittany's gonna beg, but if you have someone in a relationship who decides they're ready to exit the relationship, should that be the end of things, or should you fight for your relationship?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think especially in their situation where it's marriage,
Right,
I think you should fight. I've been in, we've talked about this as well. I've been in relationships where I've fought to stay in it. And I do regret those, but I think if I was married, I would very much be like, are you sure that this is what you want to do? Like, is there nothing that can be done to like get us right?
right,
So, yeah, I was shocked because he only said positive things about her,
right.
and to her.
Leading to the point of decision. It would have been different. I think every time she asked, she was like, "What are you gonna say?" And he would respond, "Well, if they were to ask me today, it's a yes. But in the future, I don't know because I don't know what's gonna happen in the future. But today it's a yes." At no point, at least from what was edited and what we saw, did he ever say, "I'm not sure," or "I think it might be a no for XYZ reason." So I think she was blindsided as well because he never told her that no was a possibility for him. And even the day before, he could have told her.
But yeah, and they were, like, in such a good place, I thought.
Right. Yeah, they were
Um,
all cuddled up on the couch and like hugging each other and
I
staring
was
deeply.
I was just yeah, I was shocked. I literally dropped like, my jaw dropped and I dropped my pen. I was like, "Wait,
Yeah.
what?"
Yeah.
Yeah, that was wild. Anything else about that couple?
I noticed along the way that when it came to telling Brittany that he loved her, and that should have been the sign, Will always struggled. It wasn't until the very end he was like, "Oh, I love you too." But all the rest of the couples, all the guys, all the women, they could express their love to each other. And Will never told Brittany he loved her. He always would say, "Oh, I have love for you," or, "And I care about you." You know? There's so many ways to, like, work around not telling somebody that you love them, and I think that for him, he didn't tell her because he didn't love her, or he would, like, get into the, "Well, what type of love?
Right.
Are we talking eros or
Right.
agape?"
Right.
Yeah,
Like, what?
yeah. He didn't validate her feelings, and I think that's now we see it's because he couldn't validate her feelings. So I think sometimes, like, a no is not the only no, you know? When somebody doesn't say yes,
Yeah.
it's a no, and it's hard, and we don't wanna accept that, but
Right, and that's when we see, instances, like, on some of these other dating shows too, it's like, if it's not a hell yes, then it's a
right,
no.
right,
Oop, yeah.
yeah. Um, and then I kinda wonder, because 'cause I've watched a lot of these dating shows where people are trying to match feelings for each other, so they'll throw out, "Oh, I'm starting to fall for you," and then
Yeah.
they just put that out there and say,
Yeah.
"Okay, what how did that land? Are
They do
you
that a lot,
starting?"
Love Is Blind.
Right, or like, "I could see myself falling in love with you." Um And Brittany, she was vulnerable with him, and she did allow herself to fall in love with him, and I'm just wondering how come she didn't pull back when he didn't return? Because, you know, for some of the other couples, like, for instance, with Megan and Derek, Megan told Derek that she loved him, and Derek also did not say it back right away, and she pulled back immediately, which honestly I feel like might be the appropriate response. If somebody is not in the same place with you, you know, you wanna be open, you wanna be vulnerable, but maybe it's because they can't get there with you, and instead of continuing to develop your feelings and hope they get there, maybe that's kind of the signal you to tap on the brakes a little bit.
Yeah,
Easier
definitely.
said than done, right?
I mean, for sure.
Right.
Um, yeah, I do feel bad for Brittany. I do think she got better. Things got better.
Yeah.
With her being in her head, and there were a lot of times when she was really upset, and I didn't quite understand why she was upset, and we've already spoken about how I identify with Will. So, because I was like but I said, "Will is very bad at reading a room," and then I said, "I still see myself in him."
Right.
So that is still there, but yeah. So I feel like I mean, I was surprised by that, but I think for me, the biggest surprise
Yeah.
was what looks like the deterioration of the relationship between Chad and Belinda.
Let's talk about it.
Did not see that coming.
I didn't see it coming either. It was all smooth sailing until yeah.
It's
So
out of nowhere, and part of me is like I was like, "Are the producers, like, trying to manufacture something because they've been, smooth sailing this whole time?" But no,
right.
it seems to be a real serious issue between them.
So what was the specific issue or kinda like the straw that broke the camel's back, do you think?
I think for Belinda it was and so I don't know if Chad was lying or I
Right.
don't know that Josh is always 100% truthful with Jalen. He has lied to her before. And so the issue was Chad said that he felt production was trying to put a wedge between Josh and Jalen and that Josh agreed with him. And Belinda said, I don't believe that. And so Belinda went to Jalen and said, hey, you know, Chad said he had this conversation with Josh, and Jalen says, "No, no, that's not at all what they texted." And so now Belinda's trust is broken because he lied to her.
So
According to her, right? Who knows what actually happened?
and I was gonna say, as a reminder to our listeners, Belinda is Jalen's mother. So her husband is telling Belinda that her daughter's husband and her daughter are having somewhat of a rift that's being caused by production. And for me personally, I think it was the fact that he brought her child into it. Like the mother's instinct that he's putting something that could be seen as negative that now will be associated with her daughter. And I think for her, like that was the easiest way for her to just flip and say, let me verify. But once she found out that no, that wasn't true and it seemed like a lie, yeah.
Yeah. I do think it was very interesting toward the end of the episodes, the session that they had with, Dr. Pia, um, when I was like, "Oh, she's good."
She's so good.
When Belinda was like, "I avoid conflict." And,
Oh, yeah.
Dr. P is like, "Well, where does that come from?" And I was like, because normally you say, "Oh, I avoid conflict," and, like, who likes conflict? That's understandable. But I would never think to ask someone, like, where do you think that came from?" And so knowing that she was in a prior relationship where there was yelling and fighting in front of their kids, and I mean, I recognize, like, I've been in a relationship with someone who was very controlling. If I
Yeah.
get a whiff of anything that looks like controlling or insecurity, I'm
Right.
out. So that's kind of like what Belinda's doing. It's like, I don't know what's going on, so I'm out. And her saying that she just wants peace, right? She's just created a peaceful bubble for herself. And Dr. Pia was like, that's not realistic.
Right.
It can't always be positive. I thought Pia saying, like, "Is, like, your bubble" basically, she didn't say it this way, but, like, "Is keeping your bubble more important
Right.
than keeping Chad in your life?" 'Cause they have said that they love each other, and up until this, they were smooth sailing.
They were probably, I would have said, the number 1 couple
Yeah, I
in
agree.
terms of, like, compatibility and how easy things were moving along. Yeah, okay. Do we think Chad was lying?
So that's where
So,
I don't know. I
'cause
don't
I
know. I don't know.
remember last time we or I'll say I said that I suspected Chad was a cheater,
Yeah. Yes.
even though I had no evidence. My only
That was in
right.
live though. That was when we
Okay.
were on live. That wasn't here. We were talking
You're
with
right.
folks on live about how smooth, Chad is and how he says the right things
He
and
gets all the right gifts.
almost feels like love bombing.
Right.
Autumn and some folks in the chat were saying that he felt like someone who was a cheater. I didn't get that. I was rooting for him. But yeah, if he it's hard to say, like,
It just felt too good to be true to me.
definitely,
That I
yeah.
was like, "Okay, something's off." And the other thing that's kind of red flag for me is that Chad is telling Belinda, "Oh, everything will be better once the show is over and production goes away." And I'm like, "Will it be better or will it be worse? Or then will you really start to show who you are?" And I don't think there's something about all of this that lets me know Chad hasn't really exposed all of who he is. So if I was Belinda, I wouldn't be able to say yes to staying married to somebody that I felt like I didn't know. And I don't think Belinda really knows who Chad is.
Yeah, I can see that. I also did kind of understand because it felt like, the complaining about the schedule felt like it came out of nowhere. I'm glad that they
Yeah.
showed like unshown clips of him complaining about filming prior. So apparently that has been an issue throughout filming. Because it just seemed like they were springing that on us. That's when I was like, is production just trying to manufacture an issue?
Right.
But hearing that the way that he relieves stress is to get away and have
Okay.
like he said take a nap or go fishing, to have
Right.
like solitude and
He's
he
such a
hasn't
guy.
been able right, and he hasn't been able to do that. And I remember there was a point in time where I worked, like, 7 days in a row, and on day 8, I was like, "I'm so grumpy. I don't know why I'm so grumpy today." And my coworker was
Aw.
like, "You worked 8 days straight. You haven't
Right.
had any time to, like, reset." I was like, "Yeah,
True.
that's true." And so it's like, I can understand him getting irritable because he has no way to, like, release
Right.
his frustration or, tension, but I do also think that if he lied about the conversation that he had with Josh, and it just could be that
Right.
they interpreted the messages differently, like, that is also a possibility because it was text messages. So, yeah, I don't know. I was really rooting for them. So, I'm kinda sad.
I'm glad it happened though. And
Yeah,
the reason why I say I'm glad it happened is I think with any relationship, whether it's romantic or friendship or, anything else, you have to see somebody. I wouldn't say like this was the worst, but you have to see them at their worst. You have to see how they handle conflict. You have to see how they argue. You cannot marry somebody or stay married to somebody and you've never been in an argument with them because you don't know if their boundaries or your boundaries or how you guys are going to fight. You have to be able to fight fair.
that's true, and I have said that about, like, friendships as well. I was like,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know that our friendship is real until we, like, come out of the other side of a disagreement.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you wanna talk about Josh and Jalen?
Let's talk about Josh and Jalen. All right. We started with loving Josh and Jalen because, they both like this idea of a romantic marriage that could be like a fairy tale with a happy ending. But now we're starting to see they don't have anything in common. Nothing. Jalen likes to do a spin class and hang out with her friends. And that's it. She does not like to be outside. Even riding bikes outside for her is a big deal. On the other hand, Josh is an outdoor guy. He loves festivals. They're like, "Oh, we both like music." So there was that point where both of their friends met and somebody asked them, "Oh, what do you guys like doing together?" And then it was just awkward silence.
So awkward, so awkward. They were like,
We'll have
"What do
fun
we do
figuring out
together?"
what it is that we like to do together.
Right.
So, what do you think about that? Do you think that um partners need to share similar hobbies and interests?
I think there should be, at least 1 or 2 things that overlap, but mostly I would say no. Like, cause I was a whole person living a whole life before I got into this relationship. And there are things that I like to do. And if you don't like to do them, that doesn't mean I'm gonna stop doing them. We don't have to do everything together. So you don't like spending money on concerts? Cool. I'm gonna go spend my money on this concert and then I'll tell you about it when I get home. So I'm very much like if I were Jalen in this situation and, his big thing is Burning Man and I wouldn't wanna sleep in a tent either, like, I hear her. But if I'm married to this person and it's very important to him that I experience something that he loves with him, I would at least go once,
Right.
and then I'd be like, "Babe, this isn't for me. I had fun." Well, there were fun points or whatever, but from now on, just go have fun and we'll catch up when you get home. Cause, sleeping in a tent in the desert doesn't sound fun to me either, but I would at least make the effort to try to do it since he's so, so, so passionate about
Right.
the community that he's found with his friends from Burning Man.
Yeah, so coming out of, I guess, their argument over Jalen not wanting to even go to Burning Man at least once, it made me have a better appreciation for Josh, and I can tell Josh is truly in love with her. He's willing to give up anything in his life that brings him joy for her.
And But when they got to the end, because at first it was just like, "Oh, we'll find something and, I'm not gonna give it up." And she, towards the end of the episode, she's saying, "You go by yourself this year and then next year." And he was like, "I've been thinking about it. If you're not there, I don't wanna
Right.
be there." And I'm just like, "No."
Right. I'm not saying that that's the right thing to do. I think that you can be in a relationship and still be who you are outside of that relationship, and I think by him not going to Burning Man, he's losing part of himself, and he shouldn't do that, but the fact that he's willing to, it just at any cost, what do I need to do to be with my wife? I think it's especially important in the first year of marriage that people spend a lot of their time together and they're not traveling, by themselves in that first year. So I really did appreciate Josh. But on the other hand, I think Jalen is so selfish. And it kind of made me question, oh, there was a lot of things that she did. When they were arguing, she starts to cry, and it seems like fake cry too, just to win the argument. She really wasn't
When
crying
they were
over.
in the bed.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
they didn't agree on traveling to see Burning Man, and they started to talk over each other. And Jalen starts to cry. And I'm just like, is this really worth tears? I mean, I don't know. I didn't like tears that weren't necessary, but at the same time, maybe I could give her the benefit of the doubt and say maybe she was feeling emotional. Maybe those tears were to do with something
Well,
else.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe she was feeling overwhelmed. Yeah, I've had tears. Not all the time, but I've had tears before that might have seemed a little really off.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely cry when I'm angry too.
Yeah, or frustrated.
I find what seems to be a pattern with the women on this season is that they have an idea of what a marriage that they're in is supposed to look like. And
Right.
they have scripted in their head what their partners should say back to them when they say certain things. And if they don't say it that way, like I'm thinking about Brittany, thinking about Jalen, especially if they don't say it back to them in a certain way, then it becomes an issue, and we saw instances in the last batch of episodes where Josh admitted that there were things that Jalen did that he didn't like, but he hadn't said anything to her, and then we had that again with Will and Brittany this episode or this batch of episodes, and so that seems to be a trend because even Rhonda, I would say Rhonda and Pat.
I'm just gonna say it. Rhonda's the worst. Like, she really is. It's like, "Rhonda, you do not wanna be married." I don't know how long it's been, not long enough.
Yeah, she says it's been 25 years since she'd been in a
Yeah,
relationship, and it's like, you
we
get
can
stuck in your
tell.
ways. You
We
get
can
stuck in your
tell.
ways, and she is very much like, if I'm talking and telling you about myself, it's not an exchange. I'm telling you about myself so that you can learn about me, and so you need to interview me and ask me questions so that you can get to know me
You can be
versus.
an expert on me and my life.
Right, versus, like, she gets upset if Pat tries to find any commonality in what she's talking about, and that is how you connect, right? You find similarities, and you can talk about different feelings that you had when, like, "Well, when I went through this thing, I felt this way, and when you went through this same thing, you felt that way, and let's talk about those differences." And it's just like she doesn't want Pat to do
Share
anything
anything.
except
Right.
ask about her.
She wants a autobiographer. Like, she wants somebody to just, like you said, interview her, listen to everything that ever happened in her 63 years of living. And then if they don't remember all the details, she's gonna be upset.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I know we hate when these women make us side with the men, but this is another there's another couple that's making me side with the man where I'm like, "I feel so bad for Pat. How dare she do this?" Yeah. I after all of this, I really like Pat, and I don't see them working, but I see other women wanting to date Pat after this.
I'm not sure if Rhonda will say no, but I'm getting the feeling that
Hope Pat will
Pat
say no.
would say no.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I just feel like they're just not a good match. They're not a good
They
match. And
they're not.
and he is so sweet. I mean, he's even in the conversation that they had with his friend, talking about how much of himself it's just like it's almost like
Yeah.
all of the couples at one point said, "I feel like I'm walking on eggshells around my
Yeah.
partner." And, no one wants that. Everybody wants to be able to be their full self, especially when they're in a relationship.
Have you ever felt that way?
Where I had to a romantic yes, that was when I was with a guy who was, like, very insecure, jealous, and controlling.
Yeah.
Yes, very much walk on eggshells.
Like, you have to be careful with everything that you say and make sure it's not
Every
offending
move
anybody.
right, every move I make is not can't be interpreted as,
Can be sarcastic,
"Who even
not
knows what
too
he was
jokey
talking about?"
jokey.
Right,
Right.
right, right. Yeah, I've had those. Have you been in a relationship like that?
Yeah, and I didn't realize it at the time, but, like, my mom was like, "You know you're walking on eggshells." And I was like, "Yeah, I guess I do feel like I'm holding my breath every time we have a conversation, hoping that
Mm,
they don't get mad." And I have, like, I don't know, I have this sense of humor where, like, everything is funny to me. So, I can understand how that might, like, bother some people, but I mean nothing by it. Like, I will laugh at a lot of things, and I can also be serious, but I like finding humor in life? So, if I'm not, like, laughing and joking even when things are crazy, like, I'm not really being myself.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, That's unfortunate. Who's the other couple? 1, 2, 3. No, we've talked about everybody except for Megan and Derek.
Megan and Derek. Okay, so that was
My
something
my
that was a
pregnancy
prediction.
prediction my pregnancy
Yeah.
prediction came true. They just spent so much time showing us them talking
You're like,
about
all the clues,
babies. I'm just like
like you're a reporter.
I was like, "They're doing foreshadowing. I can feel it."
You're like, "I see this story being told."
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So, yeah, I mean, I am shocked at how well they're doing.
Yeah.
They're doing so when we watched the first batch of episodes, we were
We're
like,
like, "They're not gonna make it."
"Girl," and like
Yeah, she is the definition of a wall up. She had a
mhm,
wall up.
mhm.
She did not wanna let him in, and then after a while, they made it because of him.
Yes.
When he saw her wall, instead of saying, "Hey, this is too harsh, I can take this," he just kept on working with her and trying to even when she did things that he didn't like. He didn't like that, she wasn't asking questions about him. He kept on working with her, and he brought the wall down. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like as soon as they both exchanged I love yous,
Yeah.
their
Easy sailing.
their whole demeanor of their relationship changed because I think, especially even if she knew that she was feeling that way before she said it to him and didn't know how he felt, like you don't feel safe, right? So you
Right.
can feel if you express love to someone and they say they love you too, then at least you have that safety and you can kind of relax a little bit more and feel okay with letting your wall down. I am curious though if the I love yous came because the way it showed up in the way it's been edited is
Mhm.
that the I love yous came first before they found out she was pregnant. But I am
Uh,
curious of the timeline of that because sometimes they jump around in time.
that would be crazy if you were pregnant and then you were telling the man that you loved him and he was like, "I don't think I'm there."
I don't know.
No.
We don't know. Let's hope
Yeah.
it wasn't that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, and she seems to have come around on 3 kids.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
was shocked.
love will do that to you. Be like, "Yeah, that is what I want. I want 3 children
I
and
did not
38.
I
Let's
did
let's have
not
twins. Let's do it
right.
again and again and again the next 5 years." Sure. Right.
That
And that's why, love is crazy.
is in fact crazy.
There I don't know if you remember, I forget who is it, I don't remember the name of it. I guess maybe Lloyd had the song where he'd be like, "I bet I'll have you doing what you say that you won't do."
Mm.
Do you remember that line?
I don't.
"I
We'll have
wanna
to
get to
find the
know ya.
song.
I wanna be your man." That song that lyric is
Mhm.
just so true. I was like, "Yeah, the worst type of love will do that."
Yes,
Make you decide you want 3 children
girl.
at 38.
And to start having kids at 38. Yeah, exactly. I think it was funny how before they were pregnant and when they were still, like, talking about even when they would start trying, her mother was like, "Will we have a baby by Christmas?" And
Right.
she's due late November, early December, I'm guessing, of last year. And so, yeah, like, that's wild how her mom kind of predicted it.
I hope we get a reunion.
I know, has this show had reunions before?
I think so.
I
I
wanna say
think
a
they have.
reunion for sure. I'm
Yeah.
very curious to see how everyone is doing now, and I don't wanna have to, like, scour social media to figure
Right.
it out. Just do a
Stalking them.
reunion.
Right.
What did you think about the pranks that they played on the retreat?
It was so cute.
It was hilarious. I did
Yeah,
not expect Megan to be funny, like, be a prankster, to be someone who cares about
right.
making jokes and pranks on people. I was shocked that that would be something that she was into.
That was something that I wrote down that I noticed that they started to play with each other. And,
Mhm.
people talk about how important it is to play and, like, have fun. But, yeah, like, the pranks and then even them playing tennis together or playing all the games, like, that's really when you can just kinda let your hair down and be yourself and just I realized, like, how important it is in relationships to be able to have fun and, like, play with each other's. That's probably why they got pregnant.
Probably, probably. But yeah, I think it was a good set of episodes. Should we do predictions?
Yes.
Let me write
Alright, so
gotta write them down so I can look back at them.
decision day is coming up. We already know that Will is gonna say no. We're assuming that Brittany is gonna say yes, and then also just try and get him to say yes as well because we know Brittany wants to be married so bad. Even if it's not right,
Yep.
she wants to be married. Megan and Derek, that's a hell yeah for me. What do you think?
I also say hell yeah.
I hope Pat says no to Rhonda.
Pat, no. I feel like Rhonda is gonna say yes based on
Crazy.
the previews that we saw.
Rhonda is insane. Rhonda needs to be single.
Is a
Yeah.
lot. And
Um,
then who else? Oh,
Chad and Belinda, what do you think?
I'm torn because it's just everything seemed like such smooth sailing up until now, and I was, like, really happy for them, and they were my favorite couple, and, he was my favorite character, cast member, and so, yeah, they kinda threw some that at us this past couple episodes, and I feel like I don't think they're gonna say yes. I think Belinda's gonna say no.
Okay. My prediction is that Chad will say yes, Belinda will be like, "F it, why not?" And then if we get a reunion, Belinda will meet the real Chad and they'll be divorced.
Okay. What if Belinda goes first?
No, I think Belinda's gonna say yes.
Okay.
I think she wants to be married. She's probably gonna be like, "Well, technically we're already married, so I can stick it
Right,
out."
right. Well, and she was in a relationship where she didn't want to be there before.
Yeah.
And then we have
Josh and Jalen.
Josh and Jalen.
Of course, they're gonna say yes.
I don't know. Jalen,
Jalen better not say no. If Jalen says no, I'm like, she will never find a man better than Josh. That man loves her
he has
so
some
much.
serious patience. Some serious patience.
Yeah. If Jalen says no, she needs to be single for like 5 years and figure out. And
Go
it's
in timeout, figure it out.
right. Some deep therapy because like Josh is a good guy.
Yeah,
He's gonna be like, we need hobbies.
I don't
I'm
know
like, what do you
why.
expect him to go to
Something
spin class? Yeah, I don't think she's into him. I think she's finding like excuses
I
to not
think
like him.
yeah, I mean, it also was saying, like, it feels a little bit like self-sabotage. Like, I
Yeah.
think the things that she was getting upset about were small, but she was, like, making was it a mountain out of a molehill? But, yeah, so I was writing down all of our predictions. Okay.
Yeah. She's like, "You
I don't
talked
know
over me."
I don't know why, but I think Jalen's gonna say no. It's just, like, a feeling I'm getting.
Oh, she will break his heart if she says no.
Yes. Yes. Alright. Should we talk about the Angel Reese podcast real quick?
Sure thing. Okay. One thing that I wanna bring up, this whole time, Melandria has been talking about how she's like, things that didn't get showed on Love Island that she wish would've, and she was like, "I'm funny." And so she keeps on saying, I'm funny," and I've seen her lives before, and I'm like, "Are you?" But she's funny.
She's hilarious.
Yeah, she is really funny, and
She's
that
so
was something
funny.
that came out in this interview, and so, like, I love that aspect.
Yeah, I definitely love that we're getting to see more of that playful side in the things that she's doing. One of the things other than the 110 sucking wet that I was like, girl, I wrote that down. I was like, did she say 110? She said um that they couldn't even have journals or pens and paper
Yeah.
because they didn't want them passing notes because everything needed to be I thought that they could at least, like, have books or paper. You just had to sit by yourself with your thoughts on Love Island, and that is wild to me that you
They
can't
want
even journal and get, like, your thoughts.
no,
There's
no
no
clear
real way for you to
communication.
process your
Right.
thoughts.
You have to say what you're thinking out loud to start processing.
Yeah. Um, she when she was talking about Nick,
Yeah.
it was so sweet. She said, "He knows he's dating an it girl and he supports me. He never tries to steal my light." And then she's like, "Nick has set the bar so fucking high." But this is the one I put a big star by it. It's like, "Nick has shown me that this is actually possible and what I was asking for was never too much. It was just the people I was asking."
Yeah.
And I've said before, this young couple have given me so much insight on myself and things that I have been settling for in relationships instead of, waiting for the right match
Right.
and knowing that the things that I ask for aren't too much to the right person. So yeah, I really appreciated that stuff that she was saying about her relationship with Nick.
Can I ask you a personal question?
Of
What
course.
are 2 things that you want out of your person?
2 things I want. I think I would need them to be, like, civic minded, like, someone who is informed, knows what's going on, cares about what's going on, and that we align on, like, ideological stuff because that's very important and central to me and who I am. So it has to be someone who's, like, invested in what's going on in the world. And then the other thing I would say is I was gonna say intelligence, but that kind of folds in with that. Someone who, like, reads my article. Because I think sometimes I've been with people, been in relationships, and they've never read any of my work or have been supportive about, like, the things that I do. And so I think that, or just, like, being supportive when I
Yeah.
get opportunities to go on TV or, just, like, being supportive and like, taking interest in me and my work. What about you?
Yeah. I'd say absolutely on the supportive things when I've dated a guy in the past that I really liked, I had no interest on the topics of podcasts. Like, it'd be, like, sports, video games, things that are just not in my wheelhouse. I'd listen, you know? But for me, I need somebody who wants to travel with me. I love traveling. I love seeing the world. That's important. Also, I feel like my relationship with God is very important to me, and I need somebody who is led by a higher power. It just will would melt a lot of walls, I think, for me to say that I know that they're not led by what they think is best, but hopefully by what they think God would want.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And a lot of people are that way, and that is part of the reason I'm single because the guys meet me and
Yeah.
they're like, "Autumn," and Maya's not. I'm not an atheist, right? But that, I'm not super spiritual, and I'm definitely not religious, so that has been a deal breaker for some men I have encountered, so and I think it's fair. I think it's fair. It makes sense. I actually have a soft life moment that I was able to think of, so, like, soft life, okay, because we are all about soft life. I got my nails done.
Looking at them all the whole time, I'm like, "Maya, are those wicked nails?"
They are. I got them done for Wicked. So I'm
So
going to
cute.
see Wicked on Monday for a special like Prime member early screening or whatever. I'm so incredibly excited. I was gonna go a little bit out there, but I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do green cat eye. I wasn't gonna do claws, but I was like, maybe like designs and do both pink and green. And I
I
also
was
thought
like,
about doing like accent finger pink, but I was like, you know
"Okay,
what? I
okay."
am not in that sorority. I don't need to confuse people,
Right,
have them
allegation.
coming up to me, being like, soror. I'm like, no, girl. So I just stuck with the green, but I am happy with it. And yes, I'm happy with how it turned out. And I'm very excited to see Wicked.
I love that for you. I'm
How did you
split.
have a soft life this week?
I'm so split between, 2 soft life moments.
Oh.
But I will say that it's gotten a lot colder. We've gone through time change, and I realize I'm gonna be in the house because it's Chicago. It's about to be really cold.
Mhm.
So I've started to redecorate and
Good.
kinda, like, edit, and I'm loving it. Like, I didn't realize how much I loved it where it was 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, "Wait, should I turn
I've
this book?"
Yeah, I've been like that. Yep. Because, like, once you get I mean, we were talking about what my, neurospiciness might be and my fixation, right? Because 'Cause I'll get fixated and decide like I said, I'm always, like, last minute girly, so it will be, like, midnight. I'll be like, "I wanna put the things on my wall
Yeah.
right now."
I was like, "I need curtains." It's 11 o'clock at night. I'm like, "Which one? Linen? Herringbone? Beige or cream?"
Right?
Light beige.
I mean,
But
you gotta
no,
go with it. When inspiration strikes, you gotta go with it.
exactly. No, I'm really looking forward to being in my home and being cozy and having a place where I feel like I can hibernate. So, yeah, my soft moment is just making my home feel as comfy as possible.
Well, all right. Thank you, everyone, for listening to our fourth episode. You can find me on social media at Maya T Prabhu. Um, basically, every form of social media that's the same, and you can find us at the period single period standard on Instagram and TikTok.
And you can find me, Autumn E. Elizabeth, on TikTok and Instagram.
All right, that's it for today. Thank you guys. Hopefully we have 2 new episodes of Married at First Sight coming out next week. So, we will be back to discuss those. The final 2 episodes, we find out who stays married and who doesn't. So, thank you for listening because reality TV might get the spotlight.
But we set the standard.
Bye guys.